If your uncle on Facebook has convinced you that climate change is a hoax, perhaps you would also be interested in the viewpoint of birds, because their migration patterns acknowledge our rapidly changing climate. The CSU assistant professor Kyle Horan and his team looked at decades of radar imagery, and they found birds migrating in spring are reaching stops along their way earlier than they did 20 years ago. They also found that temperature and migration timing are closely aligned. This study is one of the first to examine the impacts of climate change on migration, looking at a whole continent. The research involves hundreds of species, representing billions of birds. The CSU study is in the journal Nature Climate Change.